Greetings and welcome to part 1 of the Clarinet series using essential elements. So this is right from the beginning, a great introduction to help you out if you're just starting out on your clarinet. As I always say, the best thing you can do when you're starting off with an instrument is leave it alone until you're with your teacher. Okay, the teacher can really help you with things that a video just can't. But if you've already been with your teacher, or my student, you've already worked with me, and now you just need a little reminder as you're practicing for over this week. This should hopefully help you out a little bit. So let's get right into it. So first of all, you have your clarinet case. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put it flat on the floor. Always open your case flat on the floor, because if by chance you open it upside down and it's on your lap, things can fall out. It's just safer to always open your case on the floor. Okay, so we're going to open up our case. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out a reed. Okay, I usually recommend the Rico 2.5 strength for my clarinet students when you're starting off. Once you get to about the end of 5th grade and into middle school, then we would have you go up to a 3. Even the Rico Royals and the blue boxes are very good. And into middle school, we like the Van Dorens. Again, staying about on the 3 at that point. Notice that if you've got the Rico, you've got a reed case that looks kind of like this. Alright, so if you look at it, notice that there's probably a barcode on one side, and you can see that little 2.5 there. If I pull the reed out, you can see that Rico is on the same part as the flat part of the reed case. The other side of the reed case, notice that the reed has this curve and there's a groove on your reed case. That's going to be very important later, because if you put your reed in the wrong way or you put it in too far when we put our reed away, then you're going to break your reed. Okay, and reeds can get expensive over time. But notice that your reed has this little tab. You're going to pull your reed out, and now you're going to put the skinny part into your mouth, and I'll show you how to do that. Notice that it's very thin in one part, thick where I'm holding it. You always want to handle the reed by the thick part, because if you handle it by the thin part, you run the risk of cracking it or chipping it or breaking it, and then the reed won't work and you have to throw it out. So I'm going to carefully put it in my mouth. More. See how I have almost all of the reed in my mouth. Keep sucking on your reed. I already wet my reed before I started the video, so I could still talk to you. So you want to let the reed get nice and wet, and the more reed you can get wet, the better, because it will work better on your clarinet. Okay? Think about a twig during a rainstorm. Alright? It gets all wet. Then when you pick it up, it's bendable. Think of that same twig on a really, really hot summer day during a drought. You bend that same twig and it snaps. Again, we want this reed to be flexible, because this is how we're going to get a good sound on our instrument. Okay? So you're sucking on your reed. Again. Just enough that you can pull it out of your mouth. You don't want it all the way in your mouth, because then it might be a little hard to get out and be all slobbery, and nobody wants your slobbery hands. I don't want your slobbery hands. You don't want my slobbery hands. Okay? So get it nice and wet. A good minute or two. At least a good minute in your mouth is a good rule to get it nice and soaked for you. Okay? While you're sucking on that reed, alright, you're going to take this piece out of your case. This is called the mouthpiece. Okay? You're going to take the cap off. This is the cap. It almost looks like Squidward's house. And you put it back in your case. On your mouthpiece, you notice that you have this metal strap. It's called a ligature. Okay, let's take a look at a couple things about the ligature. You can pull it off. Okay, if it's really tight on, you might need to loosen the screws a little bit. Just a couple turns. All right, looking at the ligature, do you notice how one part is bigger than the other? This top part fits the skinnier part of the mouthpiece. The bottom part fits the bigger bottom of the mouthpiece. If you put it on like this, it fits. It's contoured. If you do it upside down, it looks like one of those dog collar things so they don't itch themselves. Okay, so if you find that it looks weird and it's not going on right, you're probably upside down. Okay, good. Set your ligature aside, kind of on your lap for now, and I want you to find this piece. This is the barrel. Okay, now at this step, we're going to take the cork of the mouthpiece and we're going to twist it on the barrel. Now, if it's really, really hard, hopefully your teacher's gone over this, or maybe they've done it for you already. If it's really, really hard, maybe you have a brand new clarinet and your cork hasn't broken in yet. Okay, so that you may need to use cork grease. This is cork grease. This usually comes in a little tube. It is not chapstick. Do not put this on your lips. It will not be good for you. All right. What you do is you just do a couple little light dabs. Yeah, you really can't even see it on there. Okay, just a little bit. I've had some kids and they go crazy with the cork grease and they put half a tube on their instrument and then they give it to me and they're wondering why it's all slimy. Ooh, please don't do that. Just a couple of little dabs, and you can move. You can work it in with your finger a little bit, and you can do that on all the corks on your instrument. All right, so I've got my barrel and my mouthpiece. Again, it should be tight, but if you're going like, then you probably need the cork grease. If you put it on and it falls off, you probably need a new cork, or maybe there's no cork, and you have to have a cork. Okay. All right. Next, take that reed out of your mouth. It's so delicious, this wood. Good. All right. All right. Notice that on your mouthpiece. Let's see if we can see this here on the video a little better. There you go. Maybe with the light there. Okay. Notice there's an opening there. The reed does not go in the opening. Okay. The reed goes over the opening. It goes right on top. Okay. So the curved part's there. Notice that the curved part of the reed is up. Notice that the flat part that says Rico is down. Okay. You line it up so it's pretty much in line. Okay. If it's like this or like this, it ain't gonna play. If it's like this and it's above there, it's not gonna play, at least very well. So you line it up, and then you're gonna take your ligature, your metal strap. And again, remember the contour. It's bigger on the bottom to fit the mouthpiece and the reed. You carefully, so as not to damage the reed, slip it over the mouthpiece and the reed. Okay. And then you're going to tighten the screws. So I'll show you what it's going to look like when you're all done. Okay. Looks something like this. Notice that there's about the same amount of wood underneath the curve there. Okay, see where it's kind of shiny wood? There's enough shiny wood there. Same amount as under here. Okay. Notice that on the back, the ligature is below that curvy part right here. Okay. Notice that the screws are on the same part as the reed. Alrighty. Sometimes you may have a mouthpiece and it has little grooves on it, and that can show you where the ligature should go too. What you don't want in a ligature, I'll show you a couple things. You don't want it too high. It won't play very well. You also don't want it too low. Okay. It'll probably still play fine, but really, most kids when they're putting the ligature on, they end up having it too high. Okay. So make sure it's low enough. Notice you can see almost a very itty bitty tiny, almost nothing but of black at the tip of the mouthpiece. Okay, very, very little. Okay, all right, and you can't see the reed. Well, you shouldn't be able to see the reed. Yeah, over the mouthpiece itself. I have a mouthpiece pad right here because I've had this actually a mouthpiece. I started off as a clarinet player in 4th grade. I played until I was 15 in high school, and then I switched over to trumpet, and then I was a trumpet player ever since. But I've bought this mouthpiece back when I was in high school. And so I wore some good old teeth marks in there, and after using this for another 20 years, I decided to put a little pad over there to keep the mouthpiece going for a long time. Okay, good. All right, so now that you've got this all set up, let's talk about an embouchure. An embouchure is a way where face needs to be to make a sound on a musical instrument. Okay, so the clarinet embouchure, you're going to take your bottom lip and stretch it over your bottom teeth like this. You don't want to go, ooh, this won't make a sound. Won't make a sound at all. This will make a nice sound. Nice and firm, pointy chin. Okay, thin cushion. Lip has to be over your teeth. Don't go like this. Kids like this. Ah! No beast. Okay? That'll end up tickling your teeth and it'll sound feel really weird. Okay? So thin cushion over your bottom teeth. And you're going to set the reed more of the tip. Now we don't want to go dropping it. We don't want to go that's the tip. Okay? And your top teeth go on top of the mouthpiece like this. Then your lips go around. Firm up the corners because we want to keep the cheeks in. Cheekies cannot blow out. And then you blow. Notice pointy chin, firm corners, cheeks in, nice and firm. I would usually recommend taking a good week or two just focusing on getting that great reed placement, that great sound, okay? Because once we add all the fingers, it's going to be a lot harder to concentrate on this, okay? So again, every day, thin cushion, on top, top teeth on top, lips around, below. Okay? And you can do some fun things. You can stick your finger up there. You can always go into your sibling's bedroom in the morning and be their alarm clock. Probably don't do that. All right, so once you've gotten that good, solid sound, we're going to look in your Essential Elements book on pages 2 and 3. All right, it talks about the basics. Sit on the edge of your chair. Keep your spine straight and tall. Shoulders back and relaxed. Feet find the floor. I like to say feet flat, fanny forward. Okay, that gives you a nice sitting up posture. Talks about breathing in the airstream. The way I like to talk about the breathing when you play a musical instrument is your diving breath. Okay, so if you are about to dive into a pool or the ocean or something, do you go like this? No, you take a big breath because you want to stay underwater and you don't want to drown. You take that nice big. You fill up everything, okay? Most of the time when we breathe, we only breathe about right here, a little chest breath. You can feel that. You can feel your shoulders rise and everything just fills up here. But we want that big diving breath. You can also think of it as a yawning breath. That if you yawn, you take a great big breath. That's going to get a ton of air into your body, which you're going to need to play an instrument successfully with the best tone. So that's our breathing. We already talked about the reed placement, the embouchure, and the way your face needs to play an instrument. All right, at the bottom of page 2, it says mouthpiece workout. It says form your embouchure around the mouthpiece. Put the mouthpiece in your mouth. Take a deep breath, diving breath. Whisper 2 and gradually exhale your full airstream. Strive for an even tone. So we talk about articulation or tonguing. We'll do more. The main thing right now is just getting a decent tone. But do this with me. Say ta, ta. Now say tu, tu. You feel that t, 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 t. Now just go t, 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 t. Feel where your tongue is hitting. Now with your air, that's going to give us a great tone on our instrument. When we do that with the mouthpiece, your tongue is very lightly tapping the tip of the reed right about there. Not here, but right about there. Okay? That's how we usually want to start our tone. If you played recorder in your general music classes, it's the same principle. Okay? All right. The next part talks about getting it together. So we're going to put the whole clarinet together. And so let's do that. So you've already got this set up, right? Your barrel and mouthpiece. Okay. Now, in your case, you should find what's called the upper section or the upper joint. You know it's the upper joint because it has 2 corks on it. Okay, upper joint is 2 corks. Okay, lower joint, which looks similar, only has 1 cork on the bottom. Okay, nothing on the top. So that one's set aside. All right, so now you're going to hold by the barrel. Okay, not by the reed part, but by the barrel. And you're going to gently, holding this by as much plastic or wood as you can. We don't want to spend too much, hold the keys too much, but it's still pretty durable. Just put it on top. Okay? Notice that the reed is in line with this key right here, the single key in the back. Do you notice it looks like Squidward? 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Hello, SpongeBob. Okay? So the reed lines up with Squidward's nose. Next, take your lower joint. This is where you can break your clarinet if you don't do it correctly. So pay very careful attention. Notice on your upper joint, there's this little thing right here. Okay? You can bend that. You can break that if you're not careful. So what we do on the front here is right in the middle of the two eyes. Okay? Use a little silver key. And when you press that silver key, see how that raises? Oops, wrong silver key. Right there. See how it raises up and down? When you put the lower joint on the upper joint, you want to make sure you're pressing that silver key, or else you're going to write the key off. Okay? The other thing to be aware of is, see these keys right here? All right? On your lower section, see these keys right here? If you get ambitious and you turn, crunch, then your keys are going to bend and break. Okay? So what I like to say, press the silver key, hold your upper section like this, okay? Then take your lower section, holding by as much plastic as you can, line up the holes. Okay, see how my holes are lined up there? Not the back, the holes. Okay, pressing that silver key. And then you'll notice, I'll try to get here for the video so you can see, I'm pressing, it's going to go right on top of this little piece right here. I just wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah. Alrighty? Alright, so when it's all put together, that little piece that moved before, now it's on top of here. Okay? I'm pressing the little silver key. You can see where that goes. Okay? Never twist these sections together, or again, you'll crunch the keys. So let's do that again. Line up the holes, press the silver key, wiggle until they're together. Let this piece drop on top of that piece, and you're good. Okay, the last piece is your bell. Much less complicated. Just hold it by the bottom joint, twist the bell on. Easy enough. Again, you may need your cork grease. If you need to, just put, again, a little bit. Just a little bit. If you need more, you can always put more on, but if you need less, it's hard to get it off again. Okay, so we talked about that. All right. Now, on the back of your clarinet, you have a little silver thing here. You may have a grippy or something on there. If you're one of my students, ask me, I'll give you one of these. This is where your thumb is going to go. Okay, your thumb goes underneath there. This is my right hand. Okay, so my right hand goes over the thumb. I'm going to try not to press any of the other keys. All right, so I'm turning my page to page 4. All right, for now, your left hand, we're just going to grip the top of the clarinet just to have a contact point. So your thumb's underneath. You're contacting here. You're putting that reed flat, top teeth, lips around, no fingers down, and that is your first note. That's called a G. So in your book on page 4, your Essential Elements book, the very top in the orange box, it talks about a long tone. So it says, to begin, we use a special long tone. Hold until your teacher tells you to rest. Practice long tones each day to develop your sound. All right, so we're going to play a nice long G. Very good. All right, so the first note, look at number 1 in your book. It says a G in the orange box. It says the first note. Notice there's a picture next to the G, and it's a picture of the clarinet. All those circles, and notice they're all white. That means you're not going to press anything down. If they're black, it means you push a key down. White, don't push the key down. Okay? Note G is on the second line up on the musical staff. We know it's a G, not just because it's got a G in it, but because it's on the second line. You may have remembered in your music class, every good boy does fine. Okay? Or, every good boy deserves fudge. Or, empty garbage before dad freaks. Elvis's guitar broke down Friday. Every girl breakdances Friday. My personal favorite is elephants get bad diarrhea frequently. All right, but E, G, B, D, F are the lines of the musical staff. The musical staff's always going to have 5 lines and 4 spaces. In between, you have the space, F, A, C, E. We spell it going up. So we'll get into more of that as we continue progressing and learning more notes. Okay, so number 1, the first note, note G. We're going to play a long G, then we're going to rest for a couple seconds, then we're going to play another long G. Another one. Very nice. Look underneath there, number 1, it talks about the beat in the orange box. It says the beat is the pulse of music. And like your heartbeat, it should remain very steady. Counting aloud and foot tapping help us to maintain a steady beat. It says tap your foot down on each number and up on each and. That's an and symbol. Basically, we like to tap our foot to keep a nice beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. A beat can be fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It can be slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and. But it has to remain steady is the main thing. Okay. Also in the orange box, it says notes and rests. It says notes tell us how high or low to play by their placement on the line or space of the music staff, and how long to play by their shape. Rests tell us to count silent beats. Okay, basically, notes are beats of sound, rests are beats of silence. Okay, underneath there you have a quarter note, which is 1 beat of sound, which means you play. Then you have a quarter rest, which is a real kind of weird squiggle sign. That means a beat of silence. Let's start using these. Number 2 in your book is count and play. You have 4 quarter notes, all on the second line, note G. So we're going to play 4 Gs. Then we're going to rest for 4 beats. Then we're going to play 4 more Gs, and then we're going to rest for 4 more beats. Here's number 2, count and play. Rest, 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 rest. Rest, 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 rest. Number 3 is called a new note. Note F is in the orange box there. Notice that there's one little circle. That's referring to the one on the back. So basically you're going to have Squidward eat your thumb. Okay? Whenever you push down a key on a clarinet, you want to make sure that you're using the fleshy, paddy part of your fingers. In fact, I'll show you which part to use. Wow, you can see my fingers. Okay? Just see how I'm using the fleshy, fatty part of my fingers? Okay, that's going to seal up the hole. The mantra is, if you hear a squeak, you have a leak. So, if you're only using like the pointy part of your finger, and you don't cover a hole up all the way, then your clarinet's going to give you a weird sound or a weird squeak. Okay, so that's why we use that nice, fleshy, big part of your finger to cover up the hole, to make sure the hole is covered completely. When we do that, we're going to let the rest of your fingers just hover over the other circle keys. Okay, we don't need to go like this. We also don't want to cover them or else you're going to get a different note. That's your F. Alright, let's play a new note, number 2. We play a long F, we rest for 4 beats, or we rest for a unspecified bit of time, then we play another F. Here's number 3, a new note. Rest for a second. Another F. Number 4 in your book is called Two's a Team. You have 4 quarter note Fs to start with. Then you have 4 rests. Then you have 4 Gs. For the Gs, from this point forward, instead of hopping up here, going from F to G, just let your fingers hover over the key. Okay? You have a contact point with your thumb of the clarinet balancing on there, and between your mouth, okay, with your teeth and everything. So you don't really need to hold it up here. It's just when we get started. Okay. Number 4, Two's a Team. Rest, 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 now G. Rest, 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 rest. Number 5 is heading on down. This is note E. Notice that you still have the thumb, but there's another circle key, this one right here. Okay, this one. All right, here's your E, number 5, heading on down. Rest for a second. Another E, ready, go. Very nice. A couple of notes. Notice that the E is on the first line. That's your every good boy does fine. E. Notice that your F is in between the lines in the first space. That's your F for space, F, A, C, E. Okay. The other thing to notice is make sure it's your right hand that's underneath the clarinet. Make sure it's your left hand that's on top. I don't know how the video is going to turn out, if it's going to seem like I'm backwards or whatnot, because sometimes they go kind of weird. So make sure it's your left hand, okay? It's the hand that when it goes up, it would be in line with this side key right here, okay? You don't want this hand to be on top, the one that's by the lower side keys, okay? Make sure your right hand's down here. Now you may say, but I'm left-handed. Well, I am too, but it doesn't make a difference because they only make a right-handed clarinet. There is no such thing as a left-handed clarinet. Yeah, there's only one kind of clarinet. So that means that you have to use your left hand because otherwise when you play notes later, you're not going to be able to play the certain keys if your hands are switched. Okay, so they only make one kind. Left hand has to be on top. Okay, enough said about that. Let's go to number 6. Moving on up, we're going to be using E, F, and G. Let's try it. Number 6. Rest, rest, rest. Looking at the next page, page 5 in your Essential Elements book, at the very top it talks about a double bar. You see 2 solid lines at the end of a piece of music. It says it indicates the end. It means you're done. Great job. You finished the song. You also have in that box a repeat sign that's got the 2 bars on and 2 little dots. That means play it again. It means you get to do it all over again. All right, so look at number 7. It's note D. So thumb 1. So we're adding fingers. We're not going weird things or anything. Just what we've done. Except D. Now we're adding the next circle key, not this key, the whole. Okay, the whole here. Alrighty. So this is a D. Notice at the end it has a double bar, which means you're done. Here we go. Here's your D. And then another one. Ready, go. Number 8 is 4x4. Notice at the end of 4x4, you have a repeat sign. That 2 bars with 2 little dots. So you're going to play this one twice. Here's number 8. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, repeat. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. Number 9 is touchdown. Note C. Thumb 1, 2, and 3. This doesn't have any silver over it, but it's still a whole key. This is for your C. And again. It sounds like this. Then you've got a leak. Okay, nice and resonant. Is your C. Number 10 is called the Fab 5. This one also has a repeat sign at the end, the double bar with the 2 dots on it. Let's try this one. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, repeat. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. Okay, look at the next orange box in your book underneath 10, right above 11. All right, it talks about the treble clef. It says it indicates the position of note names on a music staff. Second line is G around that little hoop there. You don't really need to know too much about the treble clef, except you are a high instrument. Clarinet, flute, saxophone, trumpet, those are all considered higher instruments. Treble is for high. So that means you get to use every good boy does fine and the space face, F-A-C-E. If you played a low instrument, you would have something called a bass clef, not a treble clef, a bass clef. That means your notes would be different. So they have to learn a whole new system of notes than you. Ha ha. Also in there, it talks about the time signature. It says, indicates how many beats per measure and what kind of note gets the beat. Okay, let's simplify this. The top number tells you how many beats are in each measure, and a measure is a box of music. All right. Look at number 10 that we played before the Fab 5. Notice that you have boxes, right? And there's 4 things in each box. You start off with 4 C's. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it finishes the box, and then you have a D, and then 3 rests. So that's 4 beats there. So the 4-4 just is telling you, using the top number, that there's 4 beats in every box of music. We call that box a measure. Okay? Underneath that, it talks about sharp, flat, and natural. We're not going to talk too much about that right now either, but know that your notes can be either flat, sharp, or natural. Right now you know only natural notes. If a note is just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, nothing else, then it's a natural note. If it's like B flat or E flat, you haven't learned those yet. Don't worry about that. Okay? Then that's a different note, and we'll get to that when we get to it. Just worry about the notes we gave you one at a time. Okay? Don't complicate things. Note names, also in that orange box, it gives you a chart of all the notes that you've learned so far. Okay? And then more that you're going to learn. So the first 5 on there, you have C, D, E, F, G. Those are the first 5 that you've learned. Now, let's talk a little bit about the notes. You notice that D and C don't fit into the every good boy does fine in the FACE space face. So what does that mean? It means that the musical staff is not big enough to have all the notes on it. And if it were any bigger, it would be too confusing to read. So they use these things called ledger lines, okay, to expand the staff higher or lower. And the ledger line goes with one individual note. Okay, look at note D, number 7 in your book. Okay, if we go with the alphabet, right? Let's start with the A, right? The space face, F, A. So if you think of the notes, A, B, C, D, E, F. It goes up alphabetically, okay? If you go every line in every space, it's alphabetically. Let's go backwards down the alphabet. So you have A, G, F, E. Before E in the alphabet is D. So underneath there is where you have that D hanging out, okay? Before D in the alphabet is C. That's why they have a line, they put the C on there. Before the C would be what? B. Underneath the B, on another ledger line, would be A, and then G. And it just keeps going down, and you can go up as well. Okay, so we have that. Now, number 11, 12, and 13, notice they all have repeat signs on them. What I always let my students do is I let them write the notes in for 11, 12, and 13. First of all, I make them do it because then I know that they know how to figure out what the notes are. Plus, I think it's handy to write in notes for just a little bit, not the whole time, but a little bit, because right now you're trying to figure out how to make a sound, how to read the music, and then you've got all these notes and everything you're trying to figure out on the fly too. It's a lot to think about. So feel free to write your notes in. I would even recommend, if you haven't done so already and you're planning on going through this with me, go ahead and stop the video and write those in. Okay, I'm back. So 11, 12, and 13, let's go through what the notes are so you can check them. So 11 is C, 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 D, rest, rest, rest. G, G, F, F, E, rest, rest, and then we repeat. Let's play this one. Number 11. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, repeat. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. Number 12, first flight, starts on an E. It goes E, E, D, D, C, 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 rest, G, G, F, F, E, D, C, repeat. Let's try number 12. Number 13 in your book is called the Essential Elements Quiz, and this starts on note C. It goes C, D, E, F, G, 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 rest. E, F, E, D, C, E, C, and then it repeats. All right, we went through a lot of things in this video. If I were teaching my lessons at school, that would probably be about the first month or more. Just getting through. The first lesson is kind of just getting your name on your case and figuring out how to get your reed out. So let's talk about putting your clarinet away now, because this is also a very important thing. We're going to go backwards. First of all, hold it by as much black as you can. Pull off the bell and put that in your case. Then you're going to push down that middle key. All right, and wiggle the bottom part off. Put that in your case. There should be a little groove in one of the areas for that thumb rest to go. Then you're going to pull off the upper joint and put that in your case. Now this is where it's going to get a little interesting. All right, so do this with me, please. Don't go ahead. We're going to take off the ligature. Just about 3 turns is all you need to do with the screw. Don't pull it off all the way, or else it's going to take you a long time to get the screws back on again. Then you lift it off, holding the reed with your thumb. Set your ligature aside. Then you're going to take your reed. Now, put your mouthpiece and barrel just aside for a second and find that reed case. Remember we talked about it's going to be very important later for this? Okay, so we've got the flat part of the case. We've got a part with a groove in it. You've got a groovy part of your reed, and you've got a flat part, probably says Rico. So the barcode and Rico are going to be the same side. We go tip first, and then a full finger tap. We do the full finger tap because then we leave a little tab out for later when we get it out. If you keep pushing in, the reed is going to keep going in, and it's going to pop up the other side and break. Okay, so full finger tap like this. So the mantra for this is flat on flat, full finger tap, tip first. Okay, the groove of here, of the reed case, is in line with the curvy groove part of the reed. Alrighty? Alright, so you can put that back in your case. If I can get your reed and your mouthpiece and barrel. You're going to pull the mouthpiece off the barrel. One thing to note, when you're putting your clarinet back together again, make sure you put your barrel on the mouthpiece before you put the reed and ligature on, because it's a lot harder to put those together when you've got a reed and movable stuff on the top here. So take your barrel, put that back in your case. Take your ligature. And remember, you don't want it upside down, no doggies. All right, we slip it over. Don't tighten it. You don't need to. It can be on there loose. Find your mouthpiece cap. All right, there's a little groove there to go over the screws, like so. Okay, then you put that back in your case. Make sure to latch your case, and then you are good to go. Alrighty, so this has been our introduction, and really a long introduction. Probably could have done this in 2 videos, but we did it in 1 just to kind of keep in the theme of 12 per instrument series. Alright, so the next video is going to focus on utilizing more notes and the white belt for band karate. Great job, keep practicing, keep doing great, we'll see you later.